is now time for some daily G1 coverage here on the MrWarrenHayes Show podcast because we're doing it. It's the G1 CLIMAX 34, night 13, or day 13. I've been flip-flopping between that nomenclature throughout this, all of my daily coverage this year, so who cares? It's the 13th edition. How about that? Of this year's G1. I'm Warren, and I'm stoked. I'm excited. I don't know, man. These past few nights of G1 action have been absolutely great. We got some great matches on top of that, and the trend continues. The trend continued today, and on top of that, an excellent match, which I think right now is the match of the tournament. And we're not done. And it feels like everything's picking up steam. It's as if Korakuen was just like the shot in the arm everyone needed. And now everyone's like, okay, let's go. Imagine if we had got this throughout the entire tournament. I'd be I wouldn't have a voice anymore. I'd be done. And I'd sound like a 6-pack a day smoker. Jace. And we're eliminating people. We're getting people off the board. People that Chris Charlton didn't want to tell you on commentary were off the board, but are off the board. And I'm going to give you the truth. Whatever New Japan is trying to obfuscate from you, trying to not tell you that these matches won't matter on night 15, I'm going to tell you. I'm an open book. I got nothing to hide. But look, I mean, thank you again, everyone, for being here. I hope you're having a great week so far, and I hope you're ready to talk some G1 here. Like the video if you're watching this on YouTube, by the way, and leave a 5-star review of it on Apple Podcasts or a 5-star rating on Spotify on your podcast application of choice. Anything that you can help with on that front is tremendous. Helps keep the podcast growing. But as for this, holy smoke. Let's go. Let's do it. August 8th, 2024, from the Yokohama Budokan in Yokohama, Kanagawa, Japan. 2,906 people were, or at least tickets were distributed, but that's the attendance. 2,906 people, which is actually, not bad. That's pretty good. Let's say we do a comparison to last year. How about that? How about we do a comparison to last year? Night 13 was in Osaka at the Edion Arena, 3,150. So that's pretty good. A little lower from last year. But again, these last year comparisons are not like perfectly seamless comparisons. We're in different cities, we're in different arenas, different dates. Although last year, last year was on the 5th, August 5th, and so the comparisons aren't perfect. So the year over year may not be great, but we're still seeing this trend throughout the G1 of New Japan doing better houses overall than last year. How about we compare to the last time New Japan was in the Yokohama Budokan? Well, and let's take a look here. We'll pull it up. G1 CLIMAX 13. That was so they have not been here. Let me get this right. There we go. New Japan has not been at the Yokohama Budokan in 2024. This is their first appearance here. So we have to go back to 2023 for that. Do we go back to 2023 for that? Yep, we're going to World Tag League, which was in November last year, November 23rd. 1,256 people, so a much better crowd than last time. And there was a night of the G1 last year. Night 15 of the CLIMAX 33 was in the Yokohama Budokan. 2,360. So a notable improvement even from the G1, even though it was a night later, the final night. And look, just for laughs here, we had Evil versus Shingo Takagi and David Finlay versus Eddie Kingston in the main and co-main event spots. So, yeah, and this year, well, an improvement even from the last time they had a G1 show here at the Budokan. And just to give you an example, right? 4 nights ago, Noah kicked off the N1 Victory Tournament, right? Their own version of the G1, right? 949 people in attendance, with Luis Mante versus defeating Kaito Kiyomiya in the main event, and Keno versus Manabu, the refurbished Manabu Soya. So we can sit here and try to pick apart, these attendance numbers for New Japan. Are like, oh yeah, compared to last year and last time they were here and just a couple of nights ago and so on and so forth. But when you look at Noah, just 4 nights ago, and in a similar context as far as wrestling tournaments go, doesn't even crack 1,000 people in attendance. And in this case, New Japan was flirting with 3,000. So, and look, Stardom was here as well in May, the Flashing Champions show, 927. Then Big Japan did their Great Voyage in March here as well, 977. No one is cracking 1,000. The Gate of Bayside, a Dragon Gate show, see, that did 2,086. So that's not bad. Luis Mante versus Shun Skywalker was the main event, and the Stardom's New Year show, again, still in the Budokan in early January, didn't even crack 1,000, 960 people. So, that this continues to emphasize the point that even though, New Japan is not at its peak business-wise, it's still doing better than everyone else in the country. So, yeah, look, nothing but you can only see this as a positive. You can only see this as a positive, I do believe. Let's go with the results of this show. Tetsuya Naito defeated Callum Newman. Great Okan got the best of SANADA in what turns out to be a big result. We're going to talk about that in a bit. Jake Lee defeated Shota Umino. Zack Sabre Jr. defeated Gabe Kidd, and Shingo Takagi got the best of Evil in the main event. So let's start breaking down the show, starting with the opener, where Naito defeated Callum Newman. I don't think anyone was surprised here. I think everyone with their head screwed on tight expected it, unless Gato was ready to do this incredible swerve, just completely come out of left field. And no, Callum Newman is spoiling Tetsuya Naito's tournament. And we said this from the start. It would have been surprising if Tetsuya Naito, because right now he's in a very good position to move forward. We're going to talk about this when we get to the standings, but it would have been surprising if Naito would not have made it to the playoffs, if only because he is the guy, he is the draw, he's the guy. There's arguably no one else on the roster right now who can draw like Tetsuya Naito can. So if only for business reasons, putting together shows where Naito is on it is good. So, that might even be kind of a guarantee that he's going to be till the very least, till the block finals. At the very least. Or the A block final is what I mean, as opposed to the block finals. And I wouldn't even be surprised if they decided to make him go all the way for that specific reason in and about itself. Now, whether he's capable of doing it or not, is he physically able to keep up with that? That's a whole other discussion that we're not going to get into right now because we've got plenty of other things to talk about. Callum Newman, as we had established, was eliminated 2 nights ago on the previous night of A block action, but you know, I will reiterate, kind of like they were doing on commentary, but I will reiterate what I've been saying is that people have been way too harsh on Callum Newman, 21-year-old kid doing his very first G1, doing every curtain jerker. I don't know what people were expecting out of him. He's in the tournament. He opened up every show. His job was to open up every show, and the openers are not the show stealers in New Japan, and they're not. They can be good little affairs. They can be interesting. They can be solid as hell matches, but they're not the show stealers. And I don't know what people were expecting. And plus, his job was to eat some pins. So I don't know what people were expecting out of Callum Newman, but I think the expectations were too high. I think the associations with Will Ospreay did him more harm than good as far as fan perception goes. But again, look, in this match here, see, he's trying to do Oscutters and it doesn't work. This I feel has also been an undercurrent tale of Callum Newman's trajectory here in regards to being Will Ospreay's protege, right? Because he got choke slammed out of the air by Jake Lee. What was the other one? There was another one where he did a choke slam and it was interrupted out of midair, and here Naito just shoved him out of the way. Like everyone's onto it because Will had been cutting Oscutters, right and left. So the Oscutter is not maybe Shingo got beat by it, and Shingo put over that, Callum's Oscutter is stronger and whatnot. But everyone is expecting the Oscutter at this point. You can see by the way these things were laid out. So maybe the thing for Callum Newman is to really do let go of the Will Ospreay influence here. And I think that would do him good on multiple levels. That being said, I thought he had good fire in this match. I thought Naito was very sloppy. And it took 2 Destinos to put Callum Newman away. So Naito up 2 more points. He is at 10. Callum Newman still at 4. Then we had the Great Okan defeating SANADA in what I consider to be a lovely twist of affairs this late in the game. Let's talk about the match real quick. Great Okan, the story of this match is Great Okan has SANADA scouted. This was the story here. He's been watching tape. He's been making sure he got everything because look, you know how SANADA does the double leapfrogs into the drop kick? Great Okan just completely denied the leapfrogs. Shining Wizard, he ducks. Yeah, there's even later on in the match he catches a Shining Wizard and reverses it into a leg lock or something, right? So also in the match, another part of this story is that SANADA jams his knee doing a move, and Great Okan just goes for it, and boy does he ever go for it, and he's pulling out submissions and some great groundwork that has been also part of Great Okan's aura throughout this entire tournament. SANADA still manages a dropkick and a plancha. Great Okan takes him down as he tries a Shining Wizard. That's what I was talking about. I'm going through my notes here. Knee breaker by Great Okan. A TKO by SANADA. SANADA, and here's another example. SANADA goes for the bridging pin, when he goes, again, Great Okan sees it coming, pushes him back, blocks it. Then we go for German suplex. SANADA gets back up, Shining Wizard. Another Shining Wizard. Goes for the deadfall. It's blocked. And Great Okan lands the eliminator for the win. I thought this was a fantastic little match. I gave it 3.5 stars. I gave the opener 3 stars because I really feel like Callum Newman worked really hard in that one. So I was like, okay. SANADA was very sloppy. Not SANADA, Naito was very sloppy. SANADA, though, here I thought was good. I think he did his job well, and Great-O-Khan was tremendous. Was very convincing, very energetic, had that spark. And then SANADA was trying to fire himself up. He saw that he was out of his comfort zone. And both guys, again, wrestling for these 2 points, for these crucial last minute 2 points to stay in the conversation. It's fantastic. We've been talking about it throughout throughout the daily coverage. Great-O-Khan has been absolutely fantastic. He's been phenomenal throughout this entire run. Reignited passion. He's got something cooking. There was something behind his eyes that just made him feel completely different from the Great-O-Khan we've been seeing for the past 18 months to 2 years about. Maybe the guy that a lot of people were expecting to see when he made his New Japan debut that was so divisive and controversial to a degree. Mostly divisive, but it did create controversy amongst fans. I'm stretching this out too much. You get the point. I thought this was absolutely tremendous. Absolutely tremendous. And there's a legitimate chance that Great-O-Khan might actually make it to the playoffs. We're going to get to that. I swear, I can't wait to talk about the standings. I can't wait to talk about the standings. It's tremendous. 3.5 stars for me for this one. Shota Umino versus Jake Lee. Now, would you believe me if I were to sit here and tell you Jake Lee has been having some fantastic matches recently? Because this was another great Jake Lee. I don't want to say great. Great made. Words have meaning. This was another very good Jake Lee match. Outside of his, the night one thing and his second match, where we were just sitting here and who is this bozo? Get him off of my New Japan. Now, last couple of matches, there's something he's stringing together. There's something he's getting. There's a little flame going there. I thought this was very good. Look, Shota Umino goes right for him, right? Because this is another match where it's like the points are crucial. Everyone has to stay in the conversation. Everyone wants to work as hard as they can to stay in the conversation, right? And they're fighting on the floor because Shota Umino goes after him really early, but Jake Lee brutalizes him, stays in control, does a Boston Crab, a drop kick by Umino, slingshot DDT, barely even connects by Shota Umino. That was kind of embarrassing. Jake Lee back in control, lands some kicks. There's a strike exchange between the two, an exploder by Umino. Jake Lee gets back up, a German by Jake Lee. Shota Umino gets back up and then lands the rolling elbow. Both guys are down. Everyone's into it, cheering him on. Umino lands the ignition and the cradle DDT, which for some reason they're calling this some Death Rider variant. It's a cradle DDT. Okay, can we just? It's fine. Not everything has to be a variation of the finisher. It's a cradle DDT. It's fine. Back suplex by Jake Lee and a torture rack. Good looking torture rack. I hadn't you look at Jake Lee, tall, gangly, long Jake Lee, with the guy up on his shoulders, you're like, hot damn, that's a nasty looking torture rack. Argentinian backbreaker. Blaze Blade by Shota Umino, who gets fired up. Lands goes for the Death Rider. It's blocked. There's some kicks by Jake Lee. Really exciting final sequence that leads to the face breaker. Believe it or not, folks, sit back in your seats, get comfy, make sure you don't fall over. If you're driving listening to this right now, pull over so that you don't make an accidental, some accidental motions and you ride yourself into a ditch or something. I'm giving this match, which included Jake Lee, 3 3/4 stars. I thought this was tremendous. I thought it was really, really good. And we'll talk about the standings in a bit. But what a turnaround for Jake Lee. And again, I'm not sitting here calling him, the next, he's not the next Misawa here. Don't get me wrong here. We're not, I'm not, and saying, hey, look at Ricky Steamboat go here. No. This is a guy just like from the get-go. I was like, who? No, first of all, I'm familiar with his work elsewhere, and bringing him into New Japan in the first first couple of matches were such a testament to the apathetic weirdo that he is. It's like, oh, okay, here we go. Who cares? It's just going to be boring Jake Lee matches. But no. Not these past few. Not these past few. The Gabe Kidd one was a lot of fun. I thought this one was even better. And Shota Umino, well, look, folks, for all intents and purposes, Shota Umino's eliminated from the tournament. At 6 points, there's no way he's staying in the conversation. He's gone. Like, he's not in this anymore. And you could see what commentary was saying. They were blaming all of this on his hip issue, on his back issue, which I still kind of think, look, wrestlers are workers. They like to work. They like to lie. I feel like a herniated, we've talked about this before, but I just want to reiterate real quickly. A herniated disc healed within a month's time is bonkers to me. Like, that doesn't quite make sense to me. And the fact that he's wrestling on it is insane. So, they promulgated this little story. I'm not sure it could be real. It could be an extension of the truth, but I don't think I can't shake this feeling that it's not entirely 100% accurate. Let's put it that way. So I feel like they created the story to give themselves an out as to why Shota Umino might have a bad G1 this year. Now, why would you give Shota Umino a G1? I don't know. Like, maybe there's stuff happening backstage. Maybe he's been doghoused for a reason. I don't know. I couldn't tell you because New Japan likes the Shota Umino. They like the kid. They want to push him. They obviously want him to be a star. Why wouldn't they make him a star in this G1? Well, there could be a bunch of reasons that we're not privy to, is what I'm trying to say. So I don't know what to tell you. But this match ruled. Zack Sabre Jr. defeated Gabe Kidd. Match of the tournament. Just an excellent pro wrestling match. And I'm sitting there, and I got some good matches already under my belt, watching the rest of the G1 of night, what night is it? Night 13, right? Right. 13. And I'm watching night 13, and I've already got some really good stuff under my belt. I'm like, all right, we're cooking, we're good. And over the past couple of nights, things have just been tremendous. I'm like, let's go. Let's get that G1 feeling pumping again. And Kidd and Sabre gave me exactly that once again. We got Konosuke, we got Goto, we got all these people coming together, giving me the big matches. Phantasmo, Shingo, all giving me that G1 feeling, baby. This was absolutely phenomenal. An excellent match. And Gabe Kidd coming in here. He's the underdog in here. He's got 6 points. He's got a score. So he's here to mess up Zack Sabre Jr. And he's not wrestling. I remember, on commentary, Chris Charlton was saying, back in the day when they wrestled in WCPW for the first time, like, whoa, okay. Gabriel Kidd used, submissions and locks and whatnot, or something to that effect. And I'm like, okay. But Gabe wasn't doing any past tributes here to their old match. There weren't any throwbacks to that match. He wanted to beat the tar out of Zack. And And he beats him so bad. That chest, early on, like within the first minute of the match, Zack's chest was a bright red, and it only got worse. It only got worse. You know, and they go on the floor, and there's a guillotine on the floor by Zack Sabre Jr., and it's reversed by Kid into a suplex. And Gabe is just pummeling Zack Sabre Jr. The chest is purple at this point. And to a point where it's like, you know, Zack is fighting back and Gabe is like, okay, let's sit down and let's slap each other, Shibata style, you know, and they do it. And it's tremendous. It's so good. German suplex by Zack, a Saito by Gabe, PK by Zack Sabre Jr., brainbuster by Gabe. Finally, you know, Gabe Kid chops, but Zack Sabre Jr. catches the arm and stomps it a couple of times, so there's not as much gas in there. And there's, you know, that's the opening that Zack Sabre Jr. was looking for, right? Gets it into a cross arm breaker, does an octopus, tombstone pile driver by Gabe Kid, and an emerald flosion to a big reaction from the crowd. Crowd is super into this, by the way. They are into it. Gabe goes up top for the moonsault. It's caught by Zack Sabre Jr. into a lock. But Gabe Kid hammers his way out. Zack driver by Zack Sabre Jr. after teasing the gotch. Pile driver. Tremendous. Rebound lariat by Gabe Kid. But he gets trapped in a sleeper. And he cannot get out. And Zack Sabre Jr. Traps the arms with his heels. He's done. He is so done. And I'm looking at this, I'm like, brother, you are done. And he is done. Whew! Just a tremendous match full of grit. And the people saying, after they watched, what was the SummerSlam match? The Damian Priest and Gunther match. People, you know, said, this is a New Japan match. I would like to direct their attention to this match. This is a New Japan match. This is where you get the fighting spirit thing and you get the chop battle, but you also get some extraordinary wrestling on top of that. You get some outstanding in-ring storytelling. You get everything packaged together. Just because people chop each other on the chest doesn't make it a New Japan match. This is a New Japan match. God, I'm fired up. I love this shit. When wrestling is great, there is nothing on planet Earth that is better. Nothing. Unfortunately, out of this outcome, well, fortunately for Zack Sabre Jr. anyway, he gets 2 points. So he's all the way at the top at 12, but Gabe Kid is done. He is unfortunately eliminated. And we talked about this previously on other editions of the daily coverage. Star-making performance this G1 has been in the case of Gabe Kid. I have so many people, many people in my haunts who just cannot stand Gabe Kid. Like all throughout, you know, last year up until right now, could not stand Gabe Kid. To a degree, I'd say they were even disappointed that he was going to be in the G1. They're like, oh my God, he's going to do all this stuff. But these people have practically all of them. I don't want to say all of them. I would say an easy 90% of these people have flipped on Gabe Kid. And they're like, yeah, this is great. He's showing me something. He's showing us good stuff. This guy decided to come out and lay it all out on the line and have extraordinary performances every time he was in the ring. Just good to great to excellent right now. And you should not be surprised to a degree where he's getting into the ring with Zack Sabre Jr. and they sit down when they're planning their match. They see what the main event is and they're like, okay, let's give the audience the main event they deserve. And Gabe Kid is like, yeah. And since this is going to be my last real hurrah in the tournament, I'm going to go all in. I'm going to go balls to the wall on this one. God, what a tremendous match. I cannot recommend this enough. 4 3/4 stars. Go out of your way to like stop everything except this review and go watch. Go watch this match. Absolutely remarkable. As opposed to the main event, which was Shingo Takagi defeating Evil in the match I feared we were going to get. It's the match I feared we were going to get. Mentioned it yesterday, and unfortunately it was a match that was going to go either of two ways, right? It was either going to be Big Bruiser Evil, who was going to come out swinging, and we were going to get ourselves just a good old-fashioned Haas battle, you know, just guys slugging at each other, big moves and so on. Or we were going to get the shenanigans and lots of them. And that's exactly what we got. So I've got practically nothing for you. 2 3/4 stars on this one. Like, even before the bell, the shenanigans are starting. So I'm like, oh shit, we are in trouble. We are in trouble. And, you know, I don't know, there's hope spots, and then there's always this nonsense that happens, and Hiromu Takahashi interferes, and then they even do the Bushi spot again. You know what? I can't remember what show it was on, but they have Bushi run in on a previous show. They had Bushi run, wasn't it during the Cup? Was it during the Cup, the New Japan Cup? I honestly don't remember. But they had Bushi run in, and he attacked the LIJ guy. I think it was in the match against Tsuji. Wasn't that in the match against Tsuji? And Bushi attacks, and everyone's like, what the hell, Bushi? But it turns out it's Yoshinobu Kanemaru, and they do the exact same thing. And I'm like, that's not Bushi. What are we doing? Like, this is dumb, you know? Because then the real Bushi comes in, and then commentary are like, wait, what's going on? There's 2 Bushis. Oh my God. And look, there's, you know, just so much nonsense. You know, they do the bell ring thing. There's ref bumps, and, you know, then LIJ, you know, they come in for the save at the very end. You know, Bushi and Hiromu, they get the best out of Hasa Torture to clear the path for Shingo to win. Which is fine, but I have no use for this. And I'm like, who cares? Like, honestly, who could possibly give a shit? And this is your main event. Thank God we had that previous match, because it just washes it all away. There's nothing to the main event. It's nothing. It's just complete, total invasion of House of Torture nonsense, and I have no interest in that. So nonetheless, Shingo Takagi gets an extra 2 points. He's up at 8, and Evil at 10. As far as my recommendations go, well, have you not been paying attention? No, seriously, Zack Sabre Jr. and Gabe Kidd is the match of the tournament. Like, please watch it. Please watch it. Let me know in the comments on YouTube or the comments on Spotify. I have that too. Let me know how much you like this match. I cannot see a wrestling fan. I cannot see a wrestling fan watching this match and crossing their arms after and saying, no, that's not good. You know, I can't. It's unfathomable to me. In fact, you can watch this entire night and skip the main event. This was a very good, once again, a great pro wrestling show. These shows have been hits since Korakuen, right? Or even a little before, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, what was on, where were we on night 10? Were we at Korakuen? We were at Korakuen, right? 10, 11. No, we weren't. Even starting as of night 10, these have all been fantastic. Just good stuff. Something clicked somewhere. Yeah. Maybe they've been listening to my reviews and they were like, hey, you know what? This Warren guy is right. we should all be a little more competitive with each other and, try to outdo the other guy's last great match. That may be, or at least that's what I'd like to think, that they watch my reviews. Anyway, let's go to the standings. So, Zack Sabre Jr. is at the top with 12 points. Zack Sabre Jr., if you're watching the video right now and you can see the standings, is in green, meaning that he is qualifying. He's going through. There is no way he can lose. Even if he loses on night 15 to, who's he facing again? SANADA. Even if he loses to SANADA, he still goes through. No sweat. He's fine. And the reason is simple for this. Evil and Tetsuya Naito follow up with 10 points apiece. So even if both Naito and Evil win, then you've got your 3 right there, right? You've got your 3 that are ready to move on. Shingo Takagi is at 8, along with Budokan, SANADA, and Jake Lee. Gabe Kidd, Shota, Umino at 6 points apiece, and Callum, Newman at 4. Now, again, if you're seeing the video here, you're saying, well, Warren, there's a lot of guys that you eliminated. You put them in the gray box, which means that you've eliminated them. But SANADA and Jake Lee both have 8 points, but you haven't eliminated Budokan or Shingo Takagi, and they have 8 points as well. Oh, very astute observation of you. Yeah, I looked over the standings and boards and whatnot, and Jake Lee and SANADA are pretty much done, and there's no path for them to make it to the playoffs. Even if they win their matches on night 15, there's no way they're moving forward. Let me see if I can explain this clearly for you. So, just to make sure. So, SANADA is fighting Zack Sabre Jr. on night 15. So, as we mentioned, even if Zack loses, he still qualifies. He's got 12 points. If he wins, he's going to be at 14. If he doesn't, well, he's going to be part of the 3 moving forward. Not a big deal. SANADA, though, is at 8 points. If he wins, he gets to 10. So yes, technically, he ties Evil and Tetsuya Naito. However, both Evil and Tetsuya Naito have the tiebreaker over SANADA. So even if he ties them, he's done, he's toast, he's not going for it. So even if he wins, he's done. He's done as of right now. Kind of the same situation with Jake Lee. Jake Lee is at 8 points. He is facing Shingo Takagi on night 15. So even if Jake Lee defeats Takagi and goes to 10 points, he's in the exact same situation as SANADA, where Evil and Naito have tiebreakers over him. So he is toast. However, when it comes to Shingo and Budokan, they're still technically alive. If Shingo defeats Jake Lee, he goes to 10 points, and the big deal here is that he has a tiebreaker over over Evil and Naito. So he wins tomorrow, he goes through. Well, tomorrow, excuse me, on the 10th, right? No, anyway, on the next night of Block A. We'll look at the schedule in a second. So that's something to keep your eye out for. Budokan also at 8 points, and it's the same type of situation as it's the same type of situation kinda, where he's at 8 points and he has the tiebreaker over Evil, and he's fighting Naito on night 10. So if Budokan defeats Tetsuya Naito on night 15, he goes through. He absolutely goes through, because he already has the tiebreaker over Evil, and then he'll have the tiebreaker over Naito, so he will go through. So that is a possibility. So that's why Shingo and Budokan are not eliminated. They stand a legitimate they stand a legitimate chance at moving forward here. And by the way, I vetted all of this stuff with Chris Samsa over at sportofprowrestling.com. So, you know, it's not just pure nonsense on my part. So that's the scenario we're looking at right now. And, you know, by chatting it over with Chris, you know, this is, you know, the match order has not been released yet. But I think the main event is going to be Tetsuya Naito versus Great-O-Khan, followed by, and then the undercard will be Shota Umino versus Evil, Shingo Takagi versus Jake Lee, SANADA versus Zack Sabre Jr., and Callum Newman versus Gabe Kidd in the opener. And I think by putting Shota Umino versus Evil before Great-O-Khan versus Naito, that will keep Evil at 10 points and will add more drama to the main event between Naito and Great-O-Khan. You know, because Evil will still be at 10 points, you know, considering that he loses to Shota. Shota will be at 8 points. Evil will be at 10 still. And then Great-O-Khan will still have, like, until the very bitter end, like, his entire destiny will be in his hands then. His entire destiny will be in his hands. So let's say that scenario happens where Great-O-Khan defeats Tetsuya Naito and Evil loses to Shota Umino. Great-O-Khan then would go through, and then that would mean that Evil would also go through because he holds the tiebreaker over Naito. So I don't think this scenario is happening. I unfortunately believe that what you see is what you get right now. Zack Sabre Jr., Evil, and Tetsuya Naito are all going through. Which is, to be honest, kind of boring. It's kind of dull. So look, we'll do the full analysis after we're done with block B on top of it, because I don't want to sit here and say, well, so much for the big rejuvenation thing. We're not done yet. We'll see what happens on the other side. The other side is so close right now with so many people. They can go so many different ways. But I will concur that it is disappointing that you had Jake Lee, Shota Umino. Well, Jake Lee's a new guy, but not what I meant to say was Gabe Kidd, Shota Umino in this block, and neither of them are moving forward. You got Jake Lee here, okay. New guy, maybe he should have gone forward. In my predictions, I thought he was going to do a lot better than this. But there's a very fair chance that we're going to get the same old. Like it's the same old guys again. Zack, Evil, Naito. And look, I picked Zack to win the whole thing, and I'm sticking by this. But you're kind of like, man, like you could at least throw Great-O-Khan in this, right? You could still at least throw Great-O-Khan into this, right? You could, even throwing Shingo into this would feel a little different. So it's a little disappointing on that end. On the other side, there's still so much potential for some surprise wins and whatnot. I mean, we'll have the conversation for Block B next time. But as it stands right now, like as exciting it is to see the scenarios play out, you look at the results and you're like, wow, this is exactly like the past few years, and it's the same guys in this year that we all felt would be the kick in the pants, right? But then again, here's one thing that we all should keep in mind that is very important to not forget, is that Gato takes his time with this stuff, right? The new guys come in and he's gonna break them in. He takes his time. He's in no rush to book these main events, not these main events, to book these guys into contenders and winners and top guys. He's in no rush to do it. This is his pattern. But on the flip side, you know, at least from the Western fan base, right? People were clamoring so loudly for new blood, new faces, push the young guys, you know, that it was hard to ignore. I think this is why ultimately, and I'm pretty sure it's the same thing on the Japanese side, which ultimately led to New Japan this year doing the play-ins, right? And eliminating some of the usual dead weight that you have within the tournament, focusing it back to 2 blocks instead of spreading everything out over 4. There were a lot of advantages and a lot of signals that you were like, okay, this feels new, this is different, we're going go. And these are the people that are potentially going to be moving forward here. Look, Gabe and Shota are not moving forward. Callum Newman, of course, but we didn't expect that. You know, this is where we're at right now. It's interesting. It's interesting, but I can understand I can understand some frustration. I myself am kind of like, oh, isn't this odd? Isn't this just a little off? So that's where we're at with the standings. Let's take a look at our next night of action, which is going to be this Saturday, August 10th. So I will be back with more daily coverage there on Saturday from the Zebbio Arena, Sendai. We've got Bolton, Oleg, and Konosuke Takeshita in the opener. That should be a win for Takeshita, right? You know, I'm suspecting Takeshita might finish strong, but won't be necessarily a factor because, like I said, you know, he's doing the opener against Oleg, and then against Narita on the final night. That being said, Narita has somehow positioned himself to be really high in the conversation, so there may be some playoff implications there. Maybe, you know, because yeah, you know, if anyone out of all of these guys was the new guys was overbooked, then not in the traditional sense, but pushed too hard in this tournament. How about that? It's Ren Narita. Hiroki Goto will be facing El Phantasmo. And now everyone is excited for a Goto match. It's third from the top. I don't know what we should read into this. I don't know what should be gleaned into third from the top Hiroki Goto versus El Phantasmo. Because this could end up being a heartbreaking loss for Goto. If he wins here, he's still in the conversation, and the G1 this year just might stand for Goto, but Phantasmo, yeah, he's been in the pits, having solid matches, had a great match with Takeshita. He could end up being in the spoiler role, which we often see in guys in the G1 who will have, you know, who will be in the bottom rung of the tournament, and then suddenly towards the end, you know, they pick up these big twist wins. That's part of Gato's booking patterns as well. So I'm still holding. I am firmly on the let's go Goto train. Absolutely. Don't get me wrong. I'm holding my breath. I am holding my breath on this match here. Jeff Cobb versus Dave Finlay. I would expect Dave Finlay to score the win here because he is qualifying. I hope everyone has come to grips with that. Dave Finlay is moving forward. And the fact that Yota Tsuji is in the main event against Yuya Uemura leads me to believe that that old Yoda is going to score a couple of more points. He's going to win. He's probably going to win on the 10th. And then his final match is against Cobb. And we don't know the match order yet for the final Nights of Block action. So we'll see how this goes. But block action is coming to a close very, very shortly. We are so close to all of this wrapping up. And ergo the daily coverage as well, right? Because I've been thinking about it and I'm like, I don't think I'll be able to do like a full, recap of the playoffs, within this context on a daily basis, right? So maybe what I'll do is I'll wrap up the G1 coverage on the Mr. Warren Hayes Show podcast. I think that's what I'll do. Like the playoffs and the finals, I'll wrap those up on the podcast. But as far as block action, we're going to keep this here, and then we'll finish. We'll get the full final thoughts as God intended on the Mr. Warren Hayes Show podcast. So I think that's probably the path I'm going to go. I'm still debating. I'm still wondering. It's an organic thing, and maybe I'll wake up. And watch. And watch the first night of playoffs, and I'll be like, no, goddamn, we got to talk about this. What are we doing? Could be. I'll see. I'll keep you posted. So there you go. That's what we're doing. So we'll be back on Saturday, then August 10, for night 14 of the G1. Thank you, everyone, for watching and tuning in. Hope you're enjoying this so far. Have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you Saturday.